Hello, welcome back to Sextras,
where we talk about sex and all the extras.
I'm Honey and I love velvet. I think it's my favorite fabric.
It just made me think of red velvet cake. But yeah, it's soft and nice. I see why you would.
Very nice.
I'm Maria and I haven't brushed my hair in 5 days. So yeah.
You're a disgrace.
Yeah. Cool. Cool, interesting fact about my life, guys.
Cool facts about us. As you can tell, we have amazing fun facts as always. We kind of just put ourselves in dug ourselves a hole by saying we're gonna do fun facts every week.
Yeah, but I feel like I think it's important for our listeners to get to know us, you know?
Yeah, true. I mean, they're really getting to know us with these really deep facts about us. God. This is all anyone who would date us would need to know, these surface level facts, you know, what's your favorite color? Oh my god. Okay, well, today we are going to talk about the pandemic a bit more. We did our third episode ever was on sex, love and COVID-19. And it's actually one of our most ever listened to episodes. So clearly you guys loved the pandemic content.
Yeah. So we're bringing you more.
Yeah.
Anything to get those listens up.
Anything for approval. But yeah, we just kind of wanted to have a little catch up because in the UK we're in our second national lockdown, which was kind of inevitable. It's lit. Except students aren't on lockdown, which is kind of weird. But so we kind of just wanted to check in with everyone, see how the pandemic has affected your mental health, your self-confidence, how you look after yourself, and then also just catch up on love and relationship related things, just kind of see how things are, because a lot's changed for me. I don't know, not much has changed for Maria, but I'm sure there's lots in between that you guys have gone through, so we're gonna find that out. And we kind of just wanted to make it an interactive episode as well, so we can hear more of your stories.
We asked some of our friends to also send us a few things, so you'll hear that at the end. We just wanted to get a few different stories and things, so it's not just us talking about our boyfriends the whole time.
Yeah.
You will see, because we just want to talk about sort of how it's affecting people and more the deeper self-love shit.
Yeah, and I feel it's, well, today when we're recording is COVID's first birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, COVID.
Yeah. So yeah,
this is so crazy. Yeah,
I was thinking as well, at the start of the pandemic, obviously everyone was kind of upset and not having the best time because it was all very new, but now so much has changed because so many people have been inside all this time and we haven't had normal social interaction in so long that it's kind of just become even more disheartening, I think.
Yeah, I think people have sort of reframed the way that, well, at least that's sort of what I've been hearing, that there's a lot of reframing of the way we think about things now and how we're just adapted to sort of this way of life. And
yeah,
I think you'll see from the responses in the segment, we were looking through them and I was telling Honey that it's just quite nice because a lot of it is really positive and really sort of everyone's working on themselves and realizing a lot of self-worth and all of that shit, which obviously is so nice to see coming from something that's not been necessarily very positive and very nice. Just sort of, I don't know, the light at the end of the tunnel, not the end of the tunnel, because who the fuck knows when the end is gonna come. The 1 year in of the tunnel.
Yeah, and also obviously this is no one's ideal situation, but it's nice to know how other people are dealing with it and knowing that people are finding a way to get through it, even if it's even if it has so many downsides.
Yeah. And I mean, that said, should we get into the first question, which was actually, what have people been doing to look after themselves during the pandemic?
Let's do it.
I'll start us off.
Yeah, I'll start us off.
Someone said prioritizing having personal space and boundaries.
That's good. I relate to this one. I mean, all I have is personal space, really. But like, I do think it's very important, especially living with other people and being stuck inside with other people. That was kind of the position I was in at the start of the pandemic. So I was kind of trying to really make sure I had that time.
Yeah, I feel like it's forced people into really sort of assessing and setting those boundaries, because it kind of has to be done because you're all enclosed in a space.
Yeah. The next person said cutting down alcohol intake. I've definitely done this. Like, when I drink now, I get so drunk. It's not even... I'll have literally half a glass of wine and I can't finish it because it makes me feel so disgusting. I think hopefully like everyone's going to come out of this pandemic and realize that alcohol is kind of
drinking
disgusting.
is cancelled. I'm sorry. Like, in my mind, drinking is cancelled.
Everyone keeps talking about the first party when we get out of lockdown, the first time going clubbing, but I'm like,
no, I can't. I do miss going clubbing.
Yeah, I miss
really
going
want
clubbing
a night
but
out, but
I don't want to drink. I got drunk on Halloween and I felt so so disgusting.
Yeah, I get the worst hangovers now. I'm like an old woman.
Yeah, I didn't think I was that hungover, but then I got up and I was like, oh wow, I feel rough.
Yeah, fuck alcohol.
Even now we're in our 20s, like we're old.
20, already too old to be getting too drunk. We're literally so boring.
I know. And we were just saying as well that we go to bed at like 10 every night. I feel like our generation is going to be so boring after this pandemic. We're like ruined
so true,
by
actually. Okay, well, someone else says that they've been smoking weed to take care of themselves.
Very nice. I mean, it's illegal here in the UK, but does anyone care? No, they don't.
Yeah, I'm sure this person was from somewhere that's legal.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure.
Our followers are also the law-abiding. With having sex in public 24/7. The next one, watched videos of a wise Buddhist monk. This is very random.
Hot take.
So, yeah. I can't say I've done this myself.
Yeah, neither.
Maybe we should try.
Yeah, take notes. That actually sounds really relaxing, though.
Yeah, you know what? Well, I've been doing loads of yoga and that's been like my meditation. So
nice.
maybe it's kind of a similar vibe.
Yeah. Maybe if you don't like meditation, you could get into watching videos of wise Buddhist monks.
For sure.
Someone said clean my house regularly.
Oh my god, I literally hoover in here 3 times a week. I always think my downstairs neighbours must think that I'm some crazy like cleaning obsessed person, but I'm like, I have to hoover. It's been like 2 days.
I'm such a messy person, but actually, yeah, I've tried to keep my room quite clean because it makes me feel better. That's true.
I kind of go between two, but I feel like I've always done that, so it's not really specific to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Someone said making my bed. I've also been doing this, and it's actually been helping because I'm in the same room 24/7. The same room as my bed, so if I can see my bed and I can see it's not made, I'm just like, oh, I'll just get it to bed, it's fine. But if it's made, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to disturb peace, you know. It's like motivation to stay out of bed.
Yeah, I see that. I still don't make my bed though. I never will, probably.
Yeah, I thought I would never
fine.
be the person to make my bed, but here I am in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
And this person that submitted that, actually.
Yeah.
Someone else said not feel bad about taking breaks and eating unhealthy sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely need to learn to take more breaks. I'm really bad at taking breaks.
I feel like I should feel more bad about taking breaks so then I would take less. But actually, I already feel so guilty about it all the time. Yeah, I do it all the time, so. But yeah, I don't think I need to cut myself more slack. I really don't.
No, but with the eating unhealthy thing, I've also kind of been doing that because I've been getting really into working out, which is like, who am I? Even in
Yeah, but
2020.
embrace it.
No, I am embracing it. It's great. Obviously, I want to be healthy, but I just never thought I would be this person that I am in 2020. Like, I thought 2020 was going to be the year where I became this cool woman, you know, but it's not happening.
Why does working out mean you're not this cool woman? What do you mean?
I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this wasn't the life I envisaged for myself at 20, but whatever, it's fine. We're just going with the flow. But because I have not really been spending any money because I can't go anywhere and I can't really, like, I can buy stuff, but I just haven't. I don't even have the motivation to buy stuff other than food. So I just buy food and I make sure that I get like a takeaway every week and I'm like, oh, like, you know, treat yourself.
That's cute.
Yeah, just have snacks every now and again. I mean, not every now and again, like every day, but you know, just have that one thing where it brings you joy. Like, food is our only joy.
Yeah, some other people said like eat good food and stuff like that.
Someone said mindfulness and smoothies daily. This is the complete opposite.
Oh yeah.
But I've also been doing that too. I haven't been doing mindfulness. I've been doing smoothies, but not daily. But I just can't do mindfulness.
It sounds like a very LA lifestyle, mindfulness and smoothies.
True. Oh my god.
I like it though. It sounds nice. Not for me, but it sounds nice.
Yeah.
Someone else said buying plants.
Cute.
I bought plants during, it wasn't lockdown, but I recently bought plants and I'm into it. And one of my plants like basically committed suicide because it like fell out the window. So I and I tried to bring it back to life, but it's not working. It's really sad. It's actually really depressed me. But yeah. Still recommend really buying plants. It's quite nice.
It sounds really nice.
It's quite cute.
I want to do it, but my room is either way too cold or way too hot, so I think it would just confuse them. Also, I know I wouldn't look after them. I just would make excuses.
Yeah, but I bought succulents because of course, like, if you know me, you know I would not be able to keep a plant alive. I just can't. But they're so easy because you don't have to water them that much. And they're so cute.
Yeah, we have a basil plant and it's not even mine, it's my flatmate's, but I've remembered to water it maybe once a week if he's not here, and I feel really proud of myself and I'm like, wow, good job, but it's still dying, so it's clearly not making that much difference.
Well, yeah, I recommend go buy a plant.
Maybe I will. Making a routine. Yeah, I feel like this is so important.
Idea. I'll get into this a bit later in my experience of quarantine, but like routine is like a huge thing that has been a problem for me. So definitely top tip.
Yeah, and at the start of this year, both of us said that we wanted to start getting up early and we've been doing it. So
yeah, that's true.
That really helps because
that's true.
Instead of you get up at a random time and you're just like, oh, I'll see where the day goes from then. You're getting up and then I make myself breakfast because then I'm hungry because I'm up so early, and then you just kind of fill in the rest of the day. And I have a planner that I bought, a daily planner, and I write all the times of what I'm gonna do every day. Yeah,
and I think also getting up early is quite good for like even if you're not productive straight away and stuff, it gives you that like extra hour. Let's say you've literally been doing nothing and then you look at the time and it's like, oh, it's only 10 still because I got up at 9. Yeah. So yeah, and another top tip is get out of bed like immediately, even if it's like to get a cup of tea or like to go pee or something. True. Because I don't know, that helps me. If I get out of bed immediately, then I'm less likely to like waste time and procrastinate and like not do anything and be really unproductive.
Yeah, I've been trying really, 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 really hard to not go on Instagram as soon as I wake up, because I will just lie in my bed for 45 minutes on Instagram. So I have to be like, okay, I really have to pee. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go pee, and then I'll make my bed, and then I'll make breakfast. So I won't even be tempted to get back into bed, even though it's freezing.
Yeah. But yeah, making a routine.
Yeah.
Someone else said reaching out to friends.
I think I've been worse in lockdown.
Yeah, I've gotten way worse.
Life.
Like at all social things, I've gotten way worse.
Yeah. Someone said working out, sleeping, eating good, working on my career. Good.
Yeah.
We love it.
Nice. Sort of like routine as well as doing quite a few useful things.
Working on your career sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Wish we could relate, but I mean, the podcast
what
is
do
our
you
career.
mean? It's all we've been doing in lockdown, honey. We really relate.
Yeah. We're so grown up. We have a career.
And final one, going on walks.
Yeah, we said we were going to
We've
start
literally
doing that.
every time we see each other, we're like, yeah, let's start going on daily walks. It'll be so nice. We just haven't.
Maybe we should make it a more realistic goal and say once a week
Yeah.
walks, and then see how we go from there. Also,
Yeah.
we've been saying for the last month that we're going to go on a walk around Bristol and stick up our stickers, but we haven't.
Literally so bad.
And my aunt was telling me how important it is to go on walks as well for your mental health. I was like, yeah, but I go on walks to Sainsbury's. That's the only time I leave the house, or if I have to pick up a book from the library. So yeah.
So now that we've gone through what people have been doing to make themselves not go crazy, we also asked we wanted to see how people's mental health was going.
Yeah.
So we just asked, like, do you think your mental health has suffered during the pandemic? And 84% of people said yes, which is crazy.
I mean
understandable, but
yeah,
crazy.
it's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Has yours, hun?
Yeah, sure. The 16%, I want to know what you're doing. Just that it hasn't suffered.
I think I said no. But
tell us your secret.
My reasoning is that I don't think it's gone necessarily worse, or like the pandemic has changed anything. It's just the same as it's always, like, it's not been good.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gone worse with the pandemic necessarily. Maybe it has, and I just like haven't thought about it or noticed it that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think I have felt more shit or whatever.
Definitely at the start, I thought I was doing really well. And I was being really productive, and I am being really productive now still, but I don't know, I just think it's so far into it, and we've come nearly a whole year of lockdown or some kind of restrictions, and I'm like, I just don't know when it's gonna end. So that's just been making me feel more disheartened about it. But yeah, I don't know, it hasn't necessarily gotten really bad or better. I just know there have been days where I know that my mental health is bad, and it's because of the situation
I see.
we're in.
Yeah, I guess to be fair, I think I'm more anxious. Yeah, in terms of depression, I think it's sort of the same. Or anyway, but yeah, we want to acknowledge that people's mental health right now is pretty fragile and shit.
Yeah.
And we relate in some ways.
Yeah. But it's also kind of difficult because I've, in a lot of ways, sometimes just don't even know why I'm in a bad mood, because I'm so used to it by now that I'm just kind of like, why am I like this? I don't even think about it until I stop doing something and just take time out and chill. And then I think about it, and then I have to kind of rationalize, okay, well, we are in this weird dystopian situation, and you kind of have to give yourself more time to just be like not do anything. So yeah, after 8 o'clock or whatever, I do try and just have time to myself and like watch TV and kind of reflect on things.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of people also the uncertainty is could be like anxiety provoking, or I don't know, fuck with your mental health. So I completely get that.
Me too. Yeah, I think the uncertainty is probably the hardest part. Okay, so just while we're on the topic of talking about uncertainty and mental health, we wanted to hear a bit from some other people, not just us, more in-depth personal experiences, because we know everyone's had really different experiences during this time.
Yeah, for sure.
So we asked our friend Hannah, so we're just going to hear from her.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah. I'm a friend of Marie and Honey's from school, and I just wanted to give a brief message about my mental health during COVID. I'm someone who hasn't had the healthiest mindsets growing up, and especially in the past few years, and that's not saying I'm part of some exclusive group of people suffering with mental health. I think it's extremely common, and it should be known that it's extremely common. It shouldn't be made into this exciting, exclusive people. It's not an aesthetic, it's just part of being a human being. And COVID has obviously exacerbated any issues that people have with mental health, because on one end we're in extreme isolation, it's extremely claustrophobic to be in the same environment every single day and not having any novel experiences, not meeting any new people. For me, it has this zombifying effect where I almost dissociate from reality. I almost forget that I'm alive because of the lack of anything new or any thrills. It's extremely difficult to remember that these are the most exciting years of my life. And I think a lot of people in their 20s have felt that time just almost ticks away and you're being carried away with it and you're not really living in it. And not that I feel like that in normal life every day, but it's definitely taken to a new level when self-isolating. And on the other end, there's also a debilitating fear from seeing people that I love, and I feel that's always assisted me with my mental health. It's been really comforting, reassuring, but now it's extremely scary. It is followed by an onset of panic and debilitating fear that's just nauseating for days because of the idea that perhaps you've spread some deadly disease to someone you love. And that is something that is so new and only brought by COVID, and I feel like it hasn't been talked about much, that extreme panic that people have, especially if you know someone in a risky group. Personally, my mother has a chronic lung illness, and that has always been difficult to deal with, but now it's been obviously much worse. It's the first time in my life I haven't seen her every single week. She's been by herself, I haven't seen her. And when I do see her, I try to be extremely safe, but there's always a panic. There's not a time I haven't seen her very briefly and felt weeks of utter fear. So that has been obviously very debilitating, and I'm sure many people have experienced that if they know people in risk groups, because when you're young you're still active, you know that you're not going to die from the stillness. We don't know, but it's really probable. So you're trying to be in your 20s, and at the same time you want to see your family and you want to talk to people, and you know that there's a small chance that you are responsible for someone being gravely ill. So COVID has overall just brought this like fatal concoction of these dizzying fears and the zombifying sadness. And that's even worse when you're in your 20s and you're already dealing with the unsettling unknown of being young and starting adulthood. So I just wanted to say that I hope that when this is done, we're grateful for our freedom and grateful for the safety of those we love, and that I don't think this is like an optimistic experience as everyone on social media and corporations keep trying to tell us. It's terrifying. It's against our nature as social beings. So I hope if anyone has been feeling these sort of feelings, they know that they're absolutely not alone, that if people on social media are tricking you into thinking that everyone's having a great time, they're not. And I hope everyone has built useful techniques and defenses against mental crisis.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for sending us like such an honest review of your COVID experience. In a lot of ways, I forget that people are actually in fucked up situations, which obviously is so like stupid that I forget that because it's so obvious. But I don't know, sometimes I get really into my own world and I'm kind of like, oh, it's just staying inside. And, you know, when it's not, it goes a lot deeper than that. And even if that's not my experience, like, it's important to highlight that. And thank you so much, Hannah, for letting us do that, I guess.
Yeah, I think everyone can kind of relate to not being able to see their families and how difficult that is. And for me, like, not being able to see my grandparents, not being able to hug them, that's been really difficult. And we usually see each other all the time. So it's kind of weird to feel so used to it, but feel so used to having to think about it constantly. But it's not nice to have to feel that way.
I remember when it all started happening and like how worried you were about it. And I remember when you told me you had COVID, or like when I would see you and stuff, and like you were like really wary about touching and like going inside and all of that stuff, which as you should be. But I remember when you told me you had COVID and I was like so worried, and I was like really worried when your boyfriend was coming because I was like, oh my god, no, she's so the kind of person that would die from this. Like I was like really worried because like you have all these like weird health problems, and like it's not the same, but it's not the same at all by any means, but I do get that. And like what Hannah was saying, that complete anxiety and fear that you're gonna hurt someone you love. Like,
yeah, and kind of just always having that in the back of your mind.
I feel like that's something that so many people can relate to. So that's your sort of daily reminder that to not just be like going out and doing whatever the fuck you want just for no reason, because it's like people's lives are at risk. So wear a mask.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next poll question, which is, have you noticed any change within yourself due to the pandemic? And 91% of people said yes. So that's good.
That really I think that's crazy. Like, yeah, pretty much everyone.
It's really positive. I mean, well, it's kind of an ambiguous question, but we'll move on to the other things, which, like, the answers as to why.
We asked in what ways.
Yeah.
And the sort of stuff people said, someone said, I'm less tolerant of selfishness.
Yes. I love this because, okay, so I discussed in our third episode, you can go check it out, how my boyfriend was not complying with the restrictions for COVID and being really selfish around how he just wanted to carry on going out, blah, 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 which a lot of people were doing then and still are, but props to him. He has changed his ways now and he knows because we had COVID and now he's like, oh yeah, that was shit. I don't want that again. But a lot of people have kind of realized that other people being selfish is so ridiculous in these times especially, but just in general. I hope that the kind of sense of community that we have all acquired during this time is carried on after the pandemic, because I think it's really nice. Everyone's more aware of their surroundings and of other people, because we have to be, which comes with the bad as well. But
yeah,
it's nice that other people are just more considerate.
For sure.
Even to strangers.
Yeah, I agree. Someone else said they've learnt new skills.
Very nice. I've been meaning to do this, but I haven't.
I have, I guess. I'm learning to draw on the iPad.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's a new skill. but it wasn't really that deliberate. We're learning what do you mean? We've learned how to edit.
Yeah, that's true.
Do a podcast.
Yeah.
You've learned so much shit. What do you
we
mean?
have
You
learned
way
so
more than me
much.
as well.
No, but yeah. And I've definitely improved skills. I've improved overall in life skills.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a good time. I feel a lot of people, I reckon, can relate to this. And it's quite a good thing also for, speaking of mental health, like pick up a new thing, learn a new thing, and just keep yourself busy, I guess.
Yeah, I think I said no because at the start of the pandemic, I had all these lofty aspirations of what I wanted to do in this time. And I wanted to learn how to sew with my sewing machine, which, to be fair, I did make 2 masks, but I still haven't really hacked it because I get too impatient. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to become fluent in French, even though I'm pretty good at French, but I wanted to like hone my skills, you know?
Oh yeah, me too, actually.
And I wanted to sell all the clothes that I don't want. I haven't done that at all. Not even one item. I have that suitcase filled with clothes. And I wanted to... I've so many things I've been like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start pottery. I'm going to start... like, making rugs and shit, but it hasn't happened yet, but there's still time, I think, so we'll see.
And you've done a lot still, even if you haven't done those things.
Yeah, true. The next one, my social meter is so much lower now. I'm so used to being inside on my own.
I really relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
I find it so hard to be around people now.
Yeah.
Like, even people I'm quite close with. It's actually really hard. I think that's what I found the hardest about the pandemic, that I just get really... like, I find it really overwhelming to be around people sometimes.
Yeah.
And I just tend to avoid it at all costs. Even if, like, it's not actually that bad, I just, like, tend to prefer staying in my room because I know that I will have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even for
it's really
Halloween,
scary.
how you like invited me to come to your dinner, I was like, I know if it was a normal situation, I would really want to go, but just the fact of being inside basically alone for like a month, and then before that just with my family, there was like a period of 4 months where I had literally not interacted with anyone my age or close to my age. Like anyone younger than 50, basically, apart from my dog. So then when I actually started to see you again and a couple of our other friends, I was like, I just don't even know how to interact with anyone. And that's how I feel now still. I can't tell if I'm acting weirdly around people, which is kind of not great.
Yeah, but people are so tiring to be around.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to a positive note. The next one is, I've become more comfortable in myself and who I am. Yes, girl.
Yes.
Or boy, go.
Yeah. This was my hope for everyone at the start of the pandemic, because I was thinking how all the people who aren't used to being alone, basically everyone who's not students, because students are amazing at being alone, basically, they would just kind of struggle because you're not really used to just having time, or just especially because of the world that we lived in, of everyone being on the go and having to work all the time. I feel like you don't have any time to kind of just sit by yourself and really think about who you are, but now that's all anyone does. So you kind of have to really think about what you want.
Yeah, I feel like it's really made people reevaluate sort of what they want. For sure.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely a positive thing going into the post-pandemic years. Someone said, I can organize better at home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Always a good skill. Marie Kondo your life.
Yeah, I really can't relate. Good for you.
Someone else said, I make sure I talk about my feelings more. Nice. Very important, to be fair, when you're not... It's kind of I guess a lot of people have been forced into long distance relationships, or like not even in relationships, just like friendships and stuff, when you're not hanging out, and I guess all you can do is talk. over the phone or text, and you know what I mean. So
yeah.
and a lot can get lost in translation. So talking about your feelings is kind of important. Otherwise, yeah, there will be miscommunications and shit. So I guess it's sort of like a thrown into the deep end kind of new skill.
I mean, I've said many times that this is something that I'm on a long trajectory with, and everyone who knows me will know that I really struggle with talking about my feelings, but I do think I've made some progress. I don't know if that's necessarily due to the pandemic, but I think it kind of varies. Like, I either am really good at it, or I'm so used to being just like in my head that I kind of assume that everyone else kind of knows what's happening, but that's really not the case. So yeah, good for you that you've done that. I hope a lot of people have learned this skill as well. Someone said I'm way more socially awkward. Yeah, as we were saying.
We were kind of already talked about that.
I feel like as well, sorry, just to add to what we said, I feel really proficient in communicating via Zoom and FaceTime. That when I see people in real life, it just feels so alien, so weird. I don't know how I'll go back to having to actually interact with people, just teachers or just people that you're not that close with face to face.
That's deep.
Yeah. I don't like, I was thinking with my singing teacher, I feel like we're a lot more, our rapport is a lot more fluid now that we have to have lessons over Zoom. So then I was thinking if it goes back to face, I don't know what that will be like. And I'm a lot more confident because I can just perform and it's just me in my room, whereas it's a lot more vulnerable to do that in like one-on-one face-to-face lessons.
So I guess take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I've been participating loads in my online lectures as well.
Yeah, I feel like I participate a lot.
Because no one sees you.
No, I mostly do it because I feel bad when no one speaks, so then I feel forced to speak. But yeah, I guess it forces you to. At least it forces me, because I feel so awkward for the teacher that I have to jump in.
One of my teachers is quite good at getting people to participate, and he'll kind of involve what he thinks we're interested in the questions he asks us, so it's kind of targeted at people but not in a really scary way, and also it's over Zoom, so it's not as terrifying. But before the pandemic, actually, as long as I can remember, I've been so bad at interacting in class. I just can't really say anything. I get so stressed, and I still feel that stress, but it's not as bad because of Zoom.
That's good.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Nice.
The next one, I'm less afraid to speak my mind because I'm a bit fed up, and honestly, it's just easier.
Yeah, kind of like talking about your feelings more and all of that shit.
Yeah, being
so
thrown
true.
into the deep end, what you said. You kind of have no other option.
Yeah, so true. And kind of similar vein, like, well, I guess not that similar, but becoming more driven and believing in myself more, like a lot of career focus, knowing what you want shit.
Yes.
We love it. Becoming more independent. Someone
Very
else said that.
nice.
Oh, that was the last one, actually. But yeah.
It's nice how positive they are.
Yeah.
People really could have chosen to say the more negative things, and that's kind of what I was envisaging when we asked that question. But I'm glad that people said positive things.
Yeah. It's really, I don't know, it makes me feel happy.
Yeah. Turn and face the change. Okay, well, so moving on to kind of more related to our podcast, although all of those were in the vein of self-love and confidence, which we also are focused on, but just to update on our sex, love and COVID-19 episode, we asked people to tell us your pandemic, love or sex stories. So someone said, I'm pretty sure I've taken over 1,000 nudes in this time. Yeah.
Love it. Keep doing it. Never stop.
Yeah, I can't relate, but good for you. Love yourself.
Someone else said, I thought it would be a great solace. My husband went off it entirely.
Oh, I guess they mean being alone with their significant other. And they thought it would be a good thing. But then their husband went off it. I mean, maybe that's not what they mean, but that's kind of what I am taking it as what they mean. Yeah, that's kind of deep. I mean,
yeah, that sucks.
A lot of marriages have been suffering because of the pandemic.
Yeah, but it's understandable to like the sex life to wither a bit because if you're together all the time.
Yeah, and people's libidos have been crazy during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I haven't really had a high libido at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I was talking to my flatmate and he's been in quite a long, like a 2-year relationship, and I'm coming up on 2 years. Not saying that's like super long or anything, but I guess being 20 is quite a long time.
Yeah, that is quite a long time.
And we were just saying how, like, obviously I'm really into sex. I have a sex podcast and I talk about it all the time. But I was saying how, I don't know, like we just get into such a routine sometimes, and I feel like people think that I have this like crazy wild sex, but it's really not. It's like quite boring. But that's just what happens when you're in a long relationship, and it doesn't mean it's shit. It's great.
Yeah.
You just know the best, easiest routine,
Mm-hmm.
like shortest and most efficient, even if that's sometimes boring. And like, so I feel like sometimes getting out of that routine can be good because, I don't know, I have been getting scared that my boyfriend's gonna get bored of having sex with me. So, yeah, and I guess it's quite relevant in terms of the pandemic because if you're quarantined with your partner or whatever, break out of that routine sometimes, but also don't be ashamed of the routine. The routine works. Embrace it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like live up to this weird standard of sex. If it works, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
True. Yeah, but I'm glad that you're still having sex. Obviously, I'm not having sex because I'm in a long distance relationship. But even with that, I feel like I just haven't had a high libido. I just don't really think about sex that often. But maybe that is just because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell.
I see that.
The next one, started sending my boyfriend nudes. So yeah, kind of similar to the first one. I met a guy online that I really like, but my parents can't know. Our sexting is awesome though. Yeah.
Forbidden love. Love it.
So sexy.
Happy for you and your good sexting as well.
Yeah. Very nice.
Someone this is a really good one. Got a vibrator that can be controlled by someone else at long distance, and it's the best. One time I tried to put it inside me while I was around my family, but it was too loud and I was worried they'd hear, so I turned it off.
Oh my god, this is so good.
I want to get this thing.
I want it
It
too.
sounds so fun.
But actually, I think it would freak me out. I think it would freak you out too because you like being in control.
Yeah, but not during sex.
Yeah, but it's not like they can just turn it on in your day-to-day life. I guess
It's
you can
not going
just
to be
take it
inside
out.
me all the time.
Yeah, but no, because a lot of people just leave it in their pants and then just go about their life, and then it's kind of a game. They turn it on.
Oh yeah, but I would do that sometimes, but most of the time I'd imagine it would just be like a set time and we know what's happening.
Yeah, yes. True. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be surprised, like vibrated.
I mean, from time to time.
If you're
Sweet
in the
treat.
right mood, but it's very hit or miss.
Yeah, but I want to try this.
Yeah. Someone said sexting while quarantining with your family is hard. Yeah. I mean, sexting, just texting, or like phone sex, because texting is silent. So, I mean, but I guess you get super turned on. So if you're like just.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
taking nudes and stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I shared a room So
Oh,
taking nudes is sort of like you have to think about what you're doing, time your shit well.
Yeah.
I guess not so much a problem now, but if I was quarantining with my family, I guess, yeah.
Beginning of first lockdown, I got back with my ex, but we broke up now.
Oh,
that's sad. I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Okay, one last pandemic sex story. Go on, hun.
Me and my boyfriend was staying with my family during lockdown, and I gave him a blowjob in my bedroom, but we thought my dad was coming upstairs, so literally as he came, he pulled away from me and jizzed all over the top of my head and hair. It was messy. He was standing up, by the way, if the physics of that don't make sense. Oh, yeah. Not great. That's so funny though. That's a good story.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast today, and this girl said that she doesn't swallow. I've never met someone that doesn't swallow.
You definitely have, you just don't know.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's a big deal. I don't get why people wouldn't. To me, it doesn't taste of anything.
But I
can't
think
even
some
taste
people
it.
must have really bad tasting cum.
Really? But how bad can it taste?
Like bad.
Have you ever tasted bad cum? Really? She's nodding, by the way.
But I just think it's like with people's diets and shit, like people eat so much shit that it's like, I don't want to taste your like meaty ass. Yeah, I mean, I reckon the people that don't swallow, they must have had a really bad experience with someone's cum
But if
tasting really bad,
Yeah,
and
but
then they're
also-
kind of just scarred.
Also, though, if you're not swallowing, where is it going? Because what do you just?
It still has to go in your mouth, surely.
Yeah, and then also what? Do you just turn and spit it on the floor?
Or they just come on your face. Or in your hair.
Yeah.
Or they just come on your boobs, I guess. Yeah, I guess. But then it's like the timing, it's a bit messy and awkward.
Yeah, and also if you have to spit it, that'd be so weird. Like, what, you run to the bathroom and spit it?
Yeah, and then it's like you can't really hide that you didn't swallow it because you're like with it in your mouth.
My top tip is when he's gonna come, you just stick it to the back of your throat so then you can't even taste or feel it.
Or you can just I don't know if everyone can do this because I'm so special, but when you can hold your nose without holding it, actually having to hold your nose so you don't taste it. And then you can just...
I don't think I can do that. But I don't even taste... To me, it tastes of nothing. It just tastes a little bit bitter.
Yeah, but some people's cum definitely tastes bad. I've heard so many stories about this.
I guess.
And that's what I don't get, is it's such a big thing that vaginas smell bad when it's I mean... Yeah, it's more
I feel like
likely...
penises can smell as bad. I don't get why vagina... I don't know. To me, one isn't worse than the other. I've had a girlfriend and I've had a boyfriend. Obviously, they're different people, but I wouldn't... And they don't have the same, smelling genitals. But I wouldn't say one is worse than the other at all in terms of smell or, cleanliness. They're both literally the same, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, you're smiling in a way that makes me think you don't mean that, yeah.
No, they definitely are. They definitely are the same. They have the same potential.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the same potential.
People think that vaginas don't have the same potential because it's so,
Which actually makes no sense, because we actually wipe when we pee, whereas guys just, put their... Their,
get
pee
that.
penis back in their pants.
Yeah.
Whereas we wipe.
I don't get why guys don't wipe their
But I guess more
dicks.
stuff comes out of our vagina. than
If
the penis.
like if I have a son, I'm gonna teach him to wipe his dick.
I'm not. That's so weird. Who cares?
Just for the lols. I don't know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because girls, like, the toilet paper is like there, and like what if it gets stuck? That is a bit gross, but it's like, it's not the end of the world. You can deal with it. Anyway, let's move on from this topic.
Sorry.
That's just our thoughts on vagina versus dick, guys. Okay, well, let's kind of answer those questions. I mean, we kind of have answered those questions ourselves, but let's just talk a little bit more about what the pandemic has been like for us, how things have changed since we started the podcast, like how our self-confidence has changed, that kind of thing. So tell us how you think you've changed, if you think you've changed.
Well, I've obviously changed because people change all the time. So even regardless of the pandemic, I reckon I would have changed. But I mean, a lot has changed. The podcast exists now. Yeah. Life is just very different, I guess. But I don't know. I keep saying that like the pandemic just hasn't affected me that much, which sounds so like privileged and like ignorant in a way, but I'm such a lazy stay-at-home person that I don't know, I haven't felt super disconnected from people, which I'm really like, I'm lucky, or I have, but that's just in like mental health shit that I feel all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of don't really have an answer of how it's really affected me.
So you just don't think it's changed that much?
I don't think it's changed my life that much, no. I don't think I would have done much differently. I guess maybe the pandemic sort of actually made the podcast happen.
Yeah.
Because maybe it wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this sort of like pause in life in a way. Like, even though we still wanted to do it, maybe we would have never made it happen. So I'm always grateful for that. I think it's given people a lot of time to reframe shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that shift has affected me. But I think I was already quite a self-aware, like always thinking about what the consequences and like what I want in life and what the future, and like always planning ahead. And I'm just that kind of person. So I don't know. I don't think that I have changed that much. Like, aspects of my life have changed that much.
Yeah, and I think obviously students have kind of been ignored in this whole situation. We have been treated terribly by the government. That's undeniable, but I think we still have to kind of look at the positives in that most of us are still able to live in a city. Well, I'm speaking for second and third years, not first years, because that was a whole other situation. Obviously, you were just thrown into this completely new situation that you've never been in before. But actually, maybe just third years, because even second years, like half of your first year was taken away by the lockdown. So yeah, we as third years are in a city where our friends are. We've already had 2 years to make those friendships. And I'm kind of thankful that this has happened in our third year, because I do have so much work to be doing that it's like I don't have that much time to be thinking about other things. So I think in that way, being in third year is not the most terrible situation you could be in right now. Being in first and second year must be completely horrible, and I would probably drop out if I was in first year right now. So yeah, I think just being able to be so close to your friends, but at the same time, there are still a lot of negatives because of how tuition has changed and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, so maybe that's why you feel that.
Yeah, well, actually, I've just been thinking, I know what something that actually has changed.
Yeah.
I think because everything has taken a huge... I mean, everything... Our lives were quite online already,
Yeah.
but because everything has moved online now, and because of starting the podcast, I feel like a lot of things put together, it's just made me more conscious, and I think a lot of people a lot more conscious and, like, wanting to educate themselves and a lot less ignorant, because so much stuff has been like put online and everyone's looking at it all the time. And not that that wasn't the case before, like things like Black Lives Matter and sort of like all those things on Instagram you see all the time, that have been and have always been there even before the pandemic.
And a lot of political things.
But because of the pandemic, I think a lot of people are noticing it more. So I think I'm learning the power of it more. And I think before I used to have sort of this stance of like, oh, I just don't really get like why people really post like these things on their stories and stuff, like, oh, who cares, like, not who cares, but as in, oh, it's not gonna make any difference. But obviously that's not true. Like, I'm learning that it does make a difference, and even if you think it doesn't make a difference and one person's gonna see it, or like everyone's gonna skip through your story because they don't give a fuck, it's like, this is what, like, the little things that we can do, though. Like, if you're not gonna do this, what are you gonna do? People need to, like, there are messages that need to get out there. And even, of course, we don't have like a huge audience, like we have 300 Instagram followers and we're so excited about it, and we're like making all these things that a lot of the time I think feels like it's so much effort that isn't necessarily like going anywhere, and it can feel really like frustrating and annoying. But I think when you remember that, like, this is where life is now, it's online, and it has so much more power now than it has ever had before. So I think that's like quite a special thing. And I don't know, I've been really inspired, I think, during lockdown by everyone and sort of the initiative loads of people have taken. And like, so many people have started a podcast, so many people have started small businesses. Like, even though it's this whole thing of like, oh, what are you going to do when you graduate? It must be so hard getting a job after COVID. Like, yeah, I literally haven't thought about it. But at the same time, so many people are starting new opportunities, especially like creative people. I think it's a scary thing graduating with an arts degree, because like, especially in COVID times where people aren't really getting employed, but the creativity,
the government said that we have to retrain.
But the creativity that has come from the pandemic, I think, is super inspiring. And the sort of outrage and outspokenness that I've seen, at least, that I feel like I hadn't paid attention to, and now I've been able to and actually given it time. So that's something that I've gained from the pandemic, I guess. That is my piece.
I really think that this is our opportunity. It's kind of like divine intervention, but without the divine part. Like, this is our opportunity that we have been given to not start fresh, but to make amends for all the like terrible shit that we've been putting up with. Like, in the economic crash, like in 2008, you saw all of these startups like Uber and things coming from that, and all this creativity coming from that. And I think it's very much the same thing now. And it's more related to social movements as well, like Black Lives Matter. People have probably been more exposed to it because they've had more time to be online and be at home, with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all of those people getting killed earlier in the year, and still now with the racism that's happening after the election, after Biden's being elected. And I think that this election in the US was the biggest turnout, and that's because people have had the time to really care.
I think it's opening people's eyes.
And I think that's, people have really realized the value of education, and is less selfish. It's just it's just less selfish. For sure. And even seeing the students in Manchester really looking out for each other. I don't think we would have seen anything like that if we weren't in a pandemic.
Other than sort of deep stuff, what about, have you been doing anything in particular, or any tips or anything that you can share of how to keep yourself happy or healthy or well during, I guess, the first question? that we asked our listeners. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the routine thing is a massive thing that I've been learning, and I don't think I necessarily would have learned it if we weren't in the pandemic. Maybe I would have because of third year, but yeah, I think I've been waking up early. I've been really conscious of getting good sleep because I've been noticing how much that, like that, even that tiny bit of extra strain from being a bit too tired or a bit too stressed and not having the time to wind down, that really impacts my mental health. And even not working out for like a couple of days, I really feel that. And that's why I've been really trying hard to just, even if it's inside, just move my body for a bit of time so I can actually feel myself as a human being. It's not just I have to be focused on this work because that's the only way I'm going to get through this day. It's kind of, how am I going to take the time for myself as well? And with eating good meals as well, that's been a big part. But then I've also been struggling with that recently just because I feel like I'm so bored of cooking. I don't know why it is. It's just like having to make decisions, I think. I've always struggled with making decisions, but especially now it feels like such a massive thing because of the uncertainty of everything.
Yeah, I guess related to routine and all of that shit, because you have so much more time by yourself and kind of doing not much, you have all that more time to sort of notice how your body reacts, like what helps, what makes your day better, like what gets you in a worse mood. So I think in that way it's like quite helpful to sort of get to know yourself better.
Yeah.
And that's actually true. I mean, I'd say that I haven't really nothing has changed, but I think I have been learning a lot more about routine and like what will make a productive day and what will make a really non-productive day and what works for me and what doesn't. And I guess it's like quite a good opportunity to do that right now.
And kind of just taking it one day at a time as well. Like I think in any other situation, like I would have been in this year really feeling the pressure of what I would have to do when I graduate in June. Like I would be freaking out right now probably because that's just like the kind of person that I am.
I mean, I'm still freaking out like low-key.
I mean,
but,
low-key I am, but I kind of came to the conclusion recently that I should probably just take a year out because I don't particularly want to be doing a master's online next year. I don't particularly want to be doing another year of education, and I don't think I would have really come to that conclusion if we were in another situation. Like I think a lot of people have just really realized what they want, and I think I've realized that too. And not planning so far in advance, that's something that I've realized. Like I just want to take it a day at a time. That is all I want to do, just kind of see where each day takes me and just like hope tomorrow is gonna be fine. And not think about anything else. I'm just kind of playing it quite safe because I can't deal with anything too drastic happening because it's just too overwhelming. Would you say your relationship has really changed because of the pandemic?
Not really. Like I've said before, my boyfriend and I lived together already. So then when we quarantined together for a bit, and then we were like not together for a bit, but that's just sort of how our relationship worked already. Like it's either we live together or we don't see each other.
Yeah.
So no, I don't. I feel like, I don't know, I don't think the pandemic has had a huge impact on my relationship because it hasn't really dictated that much of like the decisions we've made.
Yeah.
What about, I mean,
I
guess it goes without saying,
has
but
the pandemic
let us
not
know.
affected in my relationship? No, but I mean, I talked about it in our third episode, kind of the situation, and obviously I'm in a long distance relationship, and I know so many people are and are being forced into that. So I think that's just been a big problem. And then also just kind of having to make big decisions, as I was saying, is kind of difficult, and that is the situation that we are kind of in. So that's very difficult too. And just not being able to know, like just the uncertainty, like not being able to know when we'll see each other again and kind of how things are going to go. As I said, I'm just trying to take it a day at a time and try not to overwhelm myself. But it is really difficult to kind of find that balance between being like rational and taking it one day at a time, and then feeling enough that you kind of feel connected to the situation.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to feel too much and like send myself into a panic, but I also don't want to not feel anything at all and feel completely disconnected from it, which is more often what happens. But yeah, it's kind of just having to do university online constantly and then having to have a relationship online. It's like
Yeah,
two
God.
things that is like, by the end of my day, he's just waking up and it's like, I'm done being online by this point, and we've been going to bed at like 10, and I'm like, I just want to get to sleep. But you just woke up, so like maybe we should talk.
Well, actually, hearing now that you say that, I think I've gotten better at dealing with uncertainty, because if I think back to sort of when lockdown was announced, like in March, and it was all like, what the fuck is happening? And I remember like being on the phone with you, and you're kind of like telling me you're not gonna be able to go home, like what are you doing? And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like I still thought it was kind of like, oh, whatever, like, you know, I think that would blow over like in a month.
Yeah.
But then like how freaked out I was about the whole like, yeah, but I don't know when I'm gonna see my boyfriend, and like I'm so stressy about those kinds of things, and not knowing things to do with my relationship, like that like freaks me the fuck out. But I've gotten a lot better at it. Like my mum was asking me on the phone the other day, she was like, oh, how do you feel about not seeing your boyfriend for like Christmas break? Because I usually am like, oh, I'm really like sad about like the break that's coming up, and I'm like super anxious about it, and I'm like really, yeah, like always like that. But I was like, I don't know, I just haven't really thought about it. Like, it needs to happen, doesn't it? Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't know, I've just become way more like, I just accept the shit that's happening.
Yeah, I
and
think
like
you have,
I'm less scared of
definitely noticed
uncertainty,
that.
because it's just kind of like there's nothing I can do. Like I can only trust in what I have, and like what I have right now, and how I feel right now, and how my boyfriend feels right now, and how like the whole situation right now. I can't control anything else.
Yeah, it is literally just like one big trustful exercise. Like this whole year.
So true. But fuck, like 2020 has been literally like the longest year, or like longest shortest year. I don't know, it's gone by so
Time
quick.
just hasn't existed.
Yeah, it's literally, to me, it's gone by so quick, but it's also been like eternal, you know?
It's literally, this year has been the proof that time is just a concept. I've been saying it for years, but now everyone knows. But literally, like, when I was 4, I thought 20 was going to be my year. 2020 was going to be my year, but obviously that didn't work out. So I guess just to round up kind of us talking about ourselves, like I just wanted to say, obviously this year hasn't been ideal for anyone, but I hope this episode has kind of helped you see that you're not alone, and you should really kind of look at what you have taken from this year, even if it's the smallest thing. I feel like we have all become a lot more resilient and maybe more in tune with ourselves, and hopefully that will serve us in the long run. And I think that's a massive positive we can take from this year, even though it's been the worst year that probably we will have to live through, you know, like it can only get better, really. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
At least Trump didn't get elected. Imagine.
Yeah, exactly. That's like such a relief, and like the comedic relief from watching him trying to fucking claim that he did win. You know, it's just, yeah, I think every day it does get a tiny bit better, even though we're still in the depths of the pandemic, and still the cases are massively high. But I think, as I said, we've kind of all gotten so used to it that it's like, I don't know how much we feel it anymore. Or if we do, it's good to at least take a break, and maybe this episode will give you that opportunity to kind of just reflect on what you do go through every day and give yourself the space to not feel your best and not be your most productive and eat the food that you want to eat and listen to like what you need.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to kind of end the episode, we're going to hear from another one of our friends, our friend Amelia, and she's written a short little piece about her experience with mental health during lockdown, so we're going to read that out now.
Lockdown has been difficult. I feel as though this is the most obvious statement in the world, but it doesn't make it any less true. Being isolated from friends and people that I have leaned on so much during difficult times was daunting. Whenever I found myself in the middle of a particularly bad period in my depression and anxiety, I could no longer leave the house and see the people that always made me feel comforted. I started to drink a lot. I found it difficult to get through an evening or go to sleep without a bottle of wine. It helped numb the feelings at a time while it was impossible to escape them in healthier ways.
I've somehow managed to find myself in 2 separate relationships during lockdown. It seems I'm quite the serial monogamist. The first, which lasted around 6 months, ended suddenly in July. After relying on him through the toughest first months, I was completely crushed when we broke up. This lasted for around a week when I came to my senses and realised what a loser he was.
I came out as bisexual to my friends a few years ago, made it a bit more public this year and decided I would take some time on my own to explore myself and my sexuality. I did what everyone does after a breakup, got drunk a lot, spent time with my friends, and of course downloaded Tinder. I flirted with some new people, a lot of them women, something I have never really experienced before. Eventually I matched with a guy that I had flirted on and off with for a couple years. He asked if we could finally meet. I was reluctant as I was determined to stay single for a while, but I accidentally ended up falling in love with him.
He has lifted me up, and despite us still being in this horrible lockdown, my mental health is better than ever. It's a healthy kind of attachment. I don't completely rely on him for my happiness, but he brings so much calm and positivity in my life that he truly does add to it. He makes me feel sexy, he has confidence in me, and he pushes me to do the absolute most. I've stopped drinking as much, I take my meds and listen to my body. I'm really happy. When I look back on the last year, what it has taken away, I have to acknowledge all that it has given me. You learn a great deal about yourself when you have no one else to talk to for 8 months.
Preach.
Okay, well, thank you so much to Amelia and everyone who submitted stuff for this episode. It's really nice to see some positivity and just everyone's journey during this time.
It sounds so crazy. But, like, I'm glad that it had a nice ending.
Yeah, me too. I'm so happy that everyone's managing to find their own ways to deal with things during this time. Yeah, so just to end the episode, we kind of wanted to speak a little bit about how when we were planning the episode, we kind of envisaged that it was going to be a more serious episode, more to do with mental health, but it has been so nice to see everyone's more positive and light-hearted responses. You know, it's really important that we find positive ways of dealing with things and also acknowledge all the harm that has come from this as well. So we kind of just wanted to show that mixture in this episode. Hopefully that's what we've achieved.
Yeah, and paint the bigger picture in some kind of way.
Yeah, and we're so thankful for everyone for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah,
you know, it means so much to us. We hope everyone continues to stay happy and safe. We hope you find some way getting through the next few weeks of lockdown or whatever your situation is, and you're just safe and happy.
And there's lots of episodes to listen to if you get bored or lonely, and we can keep you company. And you can DM us or email us if you have any questions or like just someone to talk to and stuff. We're nice people, I promise.
Yeah, or if you're even more bored and you want to do something with your time, you can write something for our blog on our website, which is www.sextraspodcast.com. It can just be about relationships, mental health, your experience, sex, whatever you want, really. We just kind of want to continue this community of support, especially during this time. So yeah, you can submit that on our website or email it to us. Our email is sextraspodcast@gmail.com, or our Instagram is @sextraspodcast. Also, please don't forget to review us, subscribe, and rate us. It really helps us out. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi, produced by Mabel Productions.